Welcome back, Deep Divers. Ready to get our hands a little dirty?
Always.
Today, we're diving into the world of cannabis cultivation,
Sounds good.
but focusing specifically on harvest and cure.
Right?
That critical point where all that hard work comes to fruition.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's fascinating, actually, how often people kind of overlook these final steps in the process, and they can really dramatically impact,
I know.
the quality, the potency, even the flavor of your final product.
Absolutely. For this deep dive, we're going to be working with a couple of excerpts here.
Okay.
We've got the Cannabis Grow Bible and the Cannabis Gardener.
Both classics.
Both are packed with advice from seasoned growers.
For sure.
So let's jump right in.
Okay.
So first things first.
Yeah.
When is the right time to harvest?
The million-dollar question.
Right.
Well, to really understand that, we need to look at the trichomes and those tiny resin-filled glands that cover the buds.
All right. So for our listeners who might not be familiar, what are trichomes?
Trichomes are these little crystalline structures that are found on the cannabis plant.
Okay.
And they're not just pretty, they're actually incredibly important because they contain the cannabinoids and terpenes that give cannabis its effects and its aroma.
So like the THC that gets you high, and then the
That's right.
terpenes are the smell and flavor.
Precisely.
Got it.
Yeah.
And how do they tell us when it's time to harvest?
Well, as the plant matures, the trichomes actually change color.
Oh, interesting.
They start out clear, then they turn kind of cloudy or milky, and finally they become amber.
Okay.
Now, harvesting at peak ripeness, when most of the trichomes are cloudy with just a hint of amber, that's generally going to give you the most well-balanced effect.
Got it.
That's the sweet spot.
So it's almost like this visual cue
It is.
from the plant itself telling you, okay, I'm ready.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
It's like nature's little signal, like, hey, I'm good to go.
That is really cool.
Now, if you harvest early, when they're mostly clear, you're going to get a more energetic kind of high.
Oh, okay.
But if you wait until they're mostly amber, you're looking at a more sedative experience.
Interesting.
Yeah, so knowing what kind of effect you're after can really help you decide, when to harvest.
Okay, so let's say we've been paying attention to the trichomes.
All right.
And we've hit that sweet spot.
Yes.
What happens next?
All right, well, next comes the actual harvesting.
Okay.
Which requires a gentle touch, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, those trichomes are delicate.
Oh.
And rough handling can really damage them.
Okay.
So sharp, clean tools are absolutely essential. And try to avoid squeezing or rubbing those buds too much.
So we're really handling with care.
Precisely. It's almost like
a work of art.
Exactly, like a fragile piece of art.
Wow.
You want to preserve every little detail.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, at this point, you need to decide whether you're going to buck. And that means removing the buds from the stems while the plant is fresh, that's called wet trimming, or after it's dried, which is dry trimming.
Okay, so both our sources talk about both of these methods.
Right.
Is one necessarily better than the other?
Well, it really depends on your priorities. Commercial growers often prefer wet trimming.
Yeah.
Because it's faster and more efficient for large-scale operations.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But the cannabis gardener really emphasizes hand trimming for those smaller growers that are really prioritizing quality.
Why is that?
Well, hand trimming allows for more precision, which means you're preserving more of those precious trichomes and ultimately maximizing the flavor and the potency of those buds.
Oh, wow.
Now, it does take more time and care.
Yeah.
But many growers believe that it results in a just far superior product.
So you've carefully harvested, you've trimmed those buds.
Right.
What is the next step in this journey?
Okay, well, now we move into the drying phase, which is absolutely crucial for preparing those buds for curing.
Right.
And the Cannabis Grow Bible is really specific about creating the perfect environment for drying.
What are those key elements?
Well, darkness, cool temperatures, moderate humidity, and gentle airflow.
All right, so we're controlling for a lot of variables.
We are
here to make sure that we're drying these buds correctly.
Absolutely.
Both sources recommend using dehumidifiers and fans if needed to help achieve the right conditions.
Precisely.
Okay, that makes sense.
You wouldn't want your precious buds getting moldy or drying out too quickly?
No, definitely not.
No.
And here's a fascinating tip from the Cannabis Gardener. They say, when you're choosing that location for drying, to really consider how the space feels.
That's interesting.
Because even within your home, there are these microclimates. So pick a spot that feels naturally cool and dry.
Yeah, that's great advice.
To help ensure that smooth drying process.
It is.
It's like choosing the perfect terroir for a fine wine.
I love that analogy.
Only for our cannabis.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I do want to touch on is the fragrance of drying cannabis.
Oh, yes.
It can be quite potent.
Especially in those first few days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe not the best time to have guests over.
Probably not, unless they're fellow enthusiasts. But it's all part of the natural process, you know? The plant's releasing those aromatic compounds as it dries.
All coming together.
Exactly.
All right, so we've tackled drying. Now it's time for that final stage.
Yes.
The one that truly elevates your cannabis.
Absolutely.
Curing.
Curing. This is where we really refine the flavor, the aroma, the smoothness. It's like aging a fine wine or a cheese.
Oh, wow.
You know, allowing those complex compounds to develop and mellow over time.
Both of our sources, the Cannabis Grow Bible and the Cannabis Gardener, really highlight the importance of airtight containers.
Yes.
For curing. Yeah. Why is that so crucial?
Well, curing is all about controlling the breakdown of chlorophyll and other compounds that can give dried cannabis a harsh, grassy taste.
Right.
So airtight containers help maintain a consistent humidity level and prevent mold growth, ensuring a nice, smooth, enjoyable experience.
The Cannabis Grow Bible even suggests a specific humidity level.
Right.
60–65%?
Yeah.
For optimal curing.
Precisely. Maintaining that ideal humidity range allows for a slow, controlled breakdown of chlorophyll, resulting in a smoother, more flavorful smoke.
And speaking of moisture, the Grow Bible offers a really clever tip for rehydrating over-dried buds.
I love this one.
They suggest adding fresh buds or even fruit slices to the container.
Yeah, it's fascinating how those aromas can transfer. Yeah, imagine infusing your cannabis with these subtle hints of like citrus or berry from the fruit. It really opens up a whole world of possibilities for experimenting with different flavor profiles.
So we've walked through this entire process now, from harvesting to trimming to drying to curing.
We have.
It's clear that each step requires this real careful attention.
It does.
And a little bit of finesse.
It's art.
But there's even more to glean from these books.
Absolutely, yeah.
They delve even deeper into some of the challenges and nuances that growers might encounter.
The Cannabis Gardener, in particular, spends a good deal of time discussing the dreaded bud rot.
Yeah.
This fungal disease, also known as botrytis, can quickly decimate a crop if left unchecked.
Oh, that sounds like a nightmare.
It can be, yeah. So it's really important to be aware of the warning signs.
Okay, what are some of those warning signs?
And you want to keep an eye out for any brown or gray patches on the buds.
Okay.
A musty smell, or even a single brown leaf sticking out of a flower.
Oh, wow.
These could all indicate a deeper infection.
Okay, so prevention is really key here.
Absolutely. Both sources really emphasize proper airflow and humidity control as the first line of defense.
That makes sense.
The Cannabis Grow Bible goes even further, advising growers to regularly inspect their buds during drying and curing. Because catching those early signs of infection allows you to remove the affected buds before the rot spreads.
So early detection can really save your whole harvest.
It can. It can.
And speaking of unwanted guests.
Yes.
Our sources also talk about pests.
Oh, of course.
Aphids, spider mites, and flies.
The bane of every grower's existence.
All these tiny creatures can wreak havoc on your plants.
They can. It's a good reminder that growing cannabis, like any form of agriculture, is really about understanding that delicate balance of the ecosystem. You know, you're not just nurturing the plant. You're managing this whole web of interactions with the environment and the potential pests.
So how do we combat these invaders without resorting to harsh chemicals?
Well, the Cannabis Gardener really advocates for organic pest control methods. Things like neem oil, insecticidal soaps to deter pests. They even recommend introducing beneficial insects.
Oh, wow.
Like ladybugs to prey on those pesky invaders.
So it's about working with nature.
Exactly.
Finding those natural solutions that maintain the health of the plants and the environment.
And I think that aligns with that broader movement towards sustainable, environmentally conscious practices within the cannabis industry.
All right, let's shift gears for a second.
Okay.
And talk about those aha moments.
I love those.
I know our listeners love them.
Me too.
The Cannabis Grow Bible has a couple of gems.
Right.
Did you know that the temperature during harvesting can affect how sticky your buds are?
That is fascinating. Yeah, the resin is less viscous at lower temperatures.
Okay.
So harvesting in a cooler environment actually makes it easier to handle
Really?
those sticky buds.
Wow.
It can really simplify trimming and preserve more of those precious trichomes.
It's amazing how these seemingly small details can make such a big impact on the final product.
They do, they do. And here's another one from the Grow Bible.
Okay.
Hanging those buds upside down during drying.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about this.
Yeah, this maximizes potency by promoting better airflow around the buds.
Okay.
It prevents moisture from getting trapped, which can lead to mold growth and compromise the quality.
So we're maximizing surface area.
Exactly.
For optimal drying.
Exactly.
Making sure those buds cure evenly and retain all of their potency.
It all speaks to the level of detail and attention that really goes into cultivating high-quality cannabis.
We've covered so much today.
Yeah, it's a lot.
From those very practical steps of harvesting and curing to the deeper nuances of managing pests, preventing bud rot.
Yeah.
It's clear that these final stages are just so crucial.
They are.
For really maximizing the quality, the potency, and enjoyment of your cannabis.
I think beyond the techniques, what I find really inspiring is this underlying message in both of these books.
Okay.
It's about encouraging that deep connection with the plant, a sense of respect for the process, a commitment to sustainable practices.
It's about approaching cannabis cultivation with intention and with care.
Precisely.
Treating it not just as a hobby, but almost like a craft.
Yeah, absolutely.
As we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I think it's important to highlight that community aspect that the Cannabis Gardener really emphasizes.
They do, yeah. The author talks about the importance of connecting with local growers, even offering to help with their harvests as a way to learn firsthand.
Oh, that's a great idea.
It's a beautiful way to build relationships and foster a sense of shared knowledge
within that community.
Within the cannabis community.
You're not just getting that theoretical knowledge from a book. You're experiencing it firsthand.
You are.
Alongside seasoned growers.
Absolutely. It's about embracing that spirit of collaboration and recognizing that there's always more to learn and share.
Within this vibrant community.
Yeah, exactly.
And what better way to show your appreciation than by maybe sharing a home-cooked meal with those generous growers.
It's a lovely gesture.
It is.
It really embodies that warmth and camaraderie that often characterizes the cannabis community.
So we've talked about the technical aspects, the challenges, the community spirit that surrounds cannabis cultivation.
It's multifaceted.
But what about some of those final takeaways, those nuggets of wisdom that our listeners can put into practice?
I think the Cannabis Grow Bible really hits the nail on the head when it encourages experimentation.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to try new techniques, to tweak those methods, and just discover what works best for you and your unique growing environment.
It's about finding your rhythm, your own style.
Exactly.
And ultimately crafting cannabis that reflects your own personal preferences and the unique qualities of your plants.
It's a beautiful thing. And that brings us to a fascinating curing technique mentioned in the Cannabis Gardener using oven bags or plastic totes.
Interesting.
It's a great example of how growers are constantly innovating and finding these new ways to refine the process.
So it's not just about sticking to those traditional methods.
No, not at all.
There's room for creativity in that curing process.
Yeah, the beauty of cannabis cultivation is that there's always something new to discover. Whether it's a unique curing technique, a new strain, or simply a deeper understanding of the plant itself.
And speaking of discovering new things, the Cannabis Gardener also encourages readers to explore local growers. And even consider purchasing flowers directly from them.
It's a fantastic way to support small-scale, sustainable operations. And to ensure you're getting high-quality, organically grown cannabis.
Plus, you're really building a connection.
You are.
With the people who put their heart and soul into cultivating these plants.
It goes beyond just buying a product, you know? It's about fostering that sense of community and appreciating the dedication and the expertise of those who grow our cannabis.
As we wrap up our deep dive here into harvest and cure, What's that one key takeaway?
Well, I think it boils down to attention to detail and a willingness to experiment.
Those are important.
They are crucial for success.
So whether you're a seasoned grower or just starting out,
there's always something new to learn, a new technique to try.
It's about embracing that whole journey.
It is.
From the first signs of trichome ripeness to that final satisfying puff of perfectly cured cannabis.
Exactly. And remember, knowledge is most powerful when it's applied and shared.
I love that.
So go forth, fellow deep divers.
Yes.
And cultivate your cannabis with confidence and passion.
Thank you for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
On this incredible journey into the world of harvest and cure.
Absolutely.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights.
Yes.
And a renewed appreciation for the art and science.
For sure.
Of cannabis cultivation.
It's a fascinating world.
Until next time.
Yes.
Happy growing.